Here's some more insanity. I want to show you this clip. This is the Israeli ambassador to the UK, Zippy Hot Volley, saying that there will be no two-state solution. So if you thought there was going to be peace, and if you thought they were going to get to a two-state solution, no way, she says. Watch this. She's nuts.
Two-state solution? Is there still a chance for a two-state solution?
I think it's about time for the world to realize the Oslo paradigm failed on the 7th of October, and we need to build a new one. And in order to build a new one...
Does that new one include the Palestinians living in a state of their own? Is that what it includes?
I think the biggest question is what type of Palestinians are on the other side? This is what Israel realized
do they
on
have
7th
a state,
of October.
though?
The answer is absolutely no, and I'll tell you why.
Well, then how can there be peace? How can there be peace in
the reason there is no peace
Israel
is because the Palestinians...
Without offering
Mark,
a state to Palestine, how can there be peace in Israel?
Israel knows today, and the world should know now, the reason the Oslo Accords failed is because the Palestinians never wanted to have a state next to Israel. They want to have a state from the river to the sea.
So the two-state solution is dead?
Why are you obsessed with a formula that never worked, that created this radical people in the other side? Why are you obsessed with that?
So that's the Israeli ambassador to the UK making it very clear that there will be no two-state solution, something that the United States has asserted is the only path forward to peace, something that much of the world has asserted is the only path to peace, and yet Israel is doubling down and saying, no way, absolutely no way. The narrative is definitely shifting. We are really, truly saying there always have been people who've been advocates for the Palestinians. There have been those that have been more balanced, and then those who have been pro-Israel. What we've seen happen since October 7th is that those who were maybe more neutral have shifted towards the Palestinian side. And what we're even now seeing at this stage in the game is people who have been more on the Israel side are even starting to lean away from Israel and starting to distance themselves and say, wait a minute, I don't think I've supported you, but now you've gone too far and this needs to end. That includes CNN. We're starting to see the footage and the coverage coming from CNN drastically shift. In the very beginning of this pandemic, I remember Dana Bash doing an interview, and she was very, very extremely pro-Israel. Watching CNN was like it was no different than watching Fox News when you went and turned on the televisions in the beginning. And now everything is completely shifted. In fact, now CNN's Clarissa was given access into Gaza without IDF escorts. So she got in there through Egypt, was traveling with Emiratis, was able to get into Gaza without any sort of Israeli influence or IDF influence, and came out pretty much horrified, and has now been reporting on CNN all day today and some last night of the horrors that she saw in Gaza. Watch this.
UAE medical volunteers, the Emirati medical volunteers who we went in with to their field hospital. But still, even in that brief window, Gail, you really got a sense of the absolute horrors that have been taking place in Gaza. This hospital was filled with the youngest victims of this war, children who have been disfigured, who are in full body casts, who are covered in burns. 2/3 of the victims have been women and children. And we definitely saw that borne out in this hospital. There was a strike just minutes after we arrived near the hospital. 2 casualties brought in, a 13-year-old boy who had lost half his leg, an older man with his foot hanging off. And it was chilling, it was harrowing, and a very sobering experience to see just how difficult life is on the ground there.
So we're starting to see this narrative shift quite a bit. Even now, CNN has also been reporting that nearly half of the air-to-ground munitions, so half of the bombs that have been used by Israel on Gaza have been what they call dumb bombs. So this was actually according to a new U.S. intelligence assessment. So even the U.S. intelligence community is turning and outing the Israelis on this one and saying, you guys are not using these precision ammunitions to target the bad guys only, doing your best and everything possible to limit civilian casualties. You guys are just going at it and you're using dumb bombs. A dumb bomb is a bomb that has no It's not a smart bomb, so it doesn't target anything. It just you drop it and it creates destruction. They're not precise. You don't know where they're really going to land. That's the crux of them. You don't know where they're going to land. So if you're dropping these bombs, you're doing it not because you're targeting somebody specific, not because you're trying to protect civilian life, but you're actually trying to just create massive destruction, and you don't care who gets caught. And now the U.S. intelligence assessment says about half of the bombs that Israel's been using since the beginning of this war have been dumb bombs, just blowing crap up. That's all they're doing. 40 to 45% of the 29,000 air-to-ground munitions Israel has used has been unguided, and the rest have been the precision-guided munitions. So that just calls into question completely the Israeli narrative of, no, we are the most moral military. We go to great lengths to protect civilian life more than any other military on earth. It's a lie. It's all a lie. And people are now seeing right through that big, fat lie. And it's been a lie this entire time, but we haven't had the ability to check as much because of lack of internet and the way information flowed, the way information was filtered. And now we have unfiltered information. We're seeing the videos coming out of Gaza. We're seeing everything with our own eyes, and there's no way to deny what they're doing. Do you think that the Germans lied during the Holocaust? Or do you think they just told the truth? Do you think they were like, oh yeah, we're committing a Holocaust. We're looking to exterminate Jews. Do you think they said that? Or do you think they actually made up excuses, lies? Do you think they had excuses for when Jewish families would disappear from neighborhoods and Germans would look around and say, well, there was that family there, but I saw them carted off. What do you think they were told? What do you think the people that ask questions were told? Do you think they were told the truth of we're rounding up all the Jews and getting rid of them because we want an ethno-nationalist nation just for us and they can't assimilate? They refuse to assimilate. They're not like us. They're not Christian. They don't share our culture. They're conniving against us. They started World War I. Or they lost World War I for us. Like, we can't trust them and they can't fit in and they're terrorists. Do you think they gave them that narrative? Or do you think they told them, oh, well, no, actually the truth is we're just rounding them up and getting rid of them because we're bigots against them. So we can't trust what the Israelis say. They've shown us that we can't trust what they say, and we really can't trust what anybody says when it comes to atrocities. We can't just trust them and take them for their word when they say this, when everything's fine, don't look here. No, we're not committing any atrocities. You have to be able to see with your own eyes. Do you see evidence of atrocity? Do you see a genocide happening? Are you seeing horrifying images? Are you actually visually seeing this? Or are you hearing stories? Because there's a big difference. And we hear these stories all the time around the world, various different governments that maybe we have a beef with that we want to demonize, and we'll say, oh, they're committing a genocide. And then the question is, okay, well, where's the evidence of this genocide? You have to show me the evidence. If you're saying that children were massacred in the most horrific way, we need evidence of this. We can't just take your word for it because you might be lying to us in order to rile us up into action. So we have this all the time. This happens all the time around the world, not just with this conflict. And we always have to ask for that evidence. When it comes to what's going on to the Palestinians, we can see it with our own eyes. And we've been seeing it for weeks now. We've seen the most horrific images coming out of Gaza. We've seen people rounded up naked. We've seen people, hundreds of people in a ditch that was dug by the Israelis. We've seen babies that have been left to die on hospital beds without oxygen, not transferred to the proper hospitals. We've seen the children with their limbs and arms blown off. We've seen the atrocities. We're seeing it with our own eyes. It's not about what some people dub as Hollywood, like Palestinian Hollywood, like they're making it up. They're not making it up. We can see it. And now we know why, because the intelligence assessment come out saying they're just bombing everything. It's indiscriminate bombing. It's indiscriminate bombing. Now, many of us knew that just by looking at the pictures, just by seeing what was going on. It was obviously indiscriminate bombing. And then people would put, oh, no, the Israelis say they're using these precision munitions. Now we know it was indiscriminate bombing. That was the right term. It was obvious just by looking at it. Now you've got a U.S. intelligence assessment that proves it. Now, the United States, of course, is at this point, people, again, that have been very supportive of Israel have now started to say, wait a minute, though, okay, supported you for a really long time, but now you might be, getting into like, I don't know, ethnic cleansing and genocide territory. We're not really comfortable with this. So the Biden administration is trying to pressure the Israeli leaders to shift in this war, to back off from the airstrikes, to stop killing all of these civilians and bombing all of their infrastructure. They're trying to get them to back off. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Israel. He's trying to press the leaders, but they're just not going for it. As you saw earlier on, Zippy Hatvali pretty much embodies the current Israeli government. Of course, not all Israelis, but the current government that's in charge and the people that are running the show. She really embodies their thinking, which is there's no way we're getting a two-state solution. We're just not doing it. So you've got the Biden administration trying to pressure, but then you've got Netanyahu in this statement that came out on December 11th. He spoke in a closed door session of the Foreign Affairs and Security Committee in the Israeli Knesset. This was reported by the Israeli Broadcasting Corporation on Tuesday that he said that a war breaking out in the West Bank of Israel of Palestine is on the table, saying that such a scenario is known to us and is on the table. We are discussing it, Netanyahu said. So even thinking about moving this war into the West Bank. So if they are able to clear the Palestinians out of Gaza, or if it looks like they're going to be achieving this goal that they're wanting to achieve, they're probably then going to start in on it on the West Bank, and they're going to say, well, there's Hamas there too. These people all support Hamas. They're all terrorists, and so therefore we got to push them into Jordan. Don't be surprised if that's the next step. So far, they've done exactly what many of us said they would be doing, which is they started in that northern part of the Gaza Strip. They started working their way down. They're now down into the south. Clarissa Ward from CNN was there, and she even said there is no place that is safe in Gaza, not even in the south, where they said, oh, civilians, go to the south, you'll be safe there. That was a lie. They're now sardines just packed in a smaller area, and they're using dumb bombs to blow them up. And what they're trying to do is get the world to say Egypt must open its borders because otherwise all these people are going to die, rather than thinking that the world is going to say Israel needs to stop this genocide and ethnic cleansing campaign. If they see it working in Gaza, they're going to start in on the West Bank. Mark my words, which is horrific, horrible, unless we can get them to stop. Somehow the world has got to get them to stop. And I don't know what it is that is going to get them to that point.